So we got our Dynacorn floor, and she's bolted snugly to the frame. Now, as far as quality goes, all the bolts lined up, went right in place. These ones were a little bit offset, but we didn't have to burr them out or nothing. We just had to jiggle it and move it a little bit. If we measure the front upper sill to the frame on both sides, it's the same measurement. On the back, we're off by a little less than maybe 1/8 of an inch. So before playing with it and doing anything, we'll probably drop it down, lift the car up, roll it under, and we'll set the car down. We'll set the car on its mounts here and the mounts in the back, and we should be able to see where the inner rocker, which is what this is, it's already welded in place. So all the braces are already under this, which is nice. But that'll be what we do next. We'll roll it under the car, drop the car down on there, see how she fits. Now these floors do have some pliability to them, so they come with shims. And there seems to be, you put shims in some places, not others. You keep track. If you're replacing the body mounts, you'd keep track where the shims go. But in this case, we're going with a new floor, so that's totally out the window. Once the body is on here, we can move our body up and down a little bit till we get it where we want it. And if we want to shim it, we can always loosen these off, put shims in, bolt them back up. So I'm not too worried about that. But initially, all we want to do is get a feel. Now this car isn't all noodly, it's very solid. So once we set it down and the mounts hit, it should give us a good idea where we're going to be and what we have to do. And if everything lines up really, really well, we can throw the doors in the body of the car and see how they fit, make sure we didn't lose any gap. And if it did shift or move in any way, it'll give us some idea where we got to shim and where we don't. But I think this is going to go pretty good. I've seen where a lot of guys have put these floors under the body, welded them in, and set the car on, and you know, they got the car together. So something tells me the tolerances on these cars are pretty good. The main thing you got to watch, I find, with the 50s cars, especially with that wraparound windshield, this is the back of the door, so your glass is in here, but basically your gap here and the top and down that edge. And as long as you got those, the rest is going to work for you. So that'll be what we do probably in the next day or two. We'll lift the body back up, put the frame under it, see where she's all going to line up, drill some holes, make some marks, and then we'll pull the body back off, because we're still going to have to come around. Now we don't got to make any holes in here. We'll have holes in our rocker panel. The rockers will go on, but that'll be after. But we've got these metal plates where the A-pillars join on to here. So we're going to have to drill some holes through here, through here. We'll use probably a hole punch for that. We've got those. And we'll clean up stuff on the car. The other thing that'll do is, see, this might have to be bent down, or maybe it's an angle. But we want to make sure that when we set the body, if it looks like it's going to impede it, we'll have to hammer that in. Just make sure everything's going to be slick, as nice as we can possibly get it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, how good are these floors? You should be able to move the body around a little bit to get it where you want it, and there's nothing wrong with this. I gotta say, I've done some steel stuff before, mainly Camaros, Chevelles, that sort of thing, a little bit of Mopar. And the different companies are hit and miss with the panels. So far, now again, the frame in this car is really, really healthy and sturdy, and everything lined up pretty good. Now when I say that, it looked like you had to shift it over a bit to line them up. You had to center it. Our backs were a little bit out. Everything else, though, they pretty much bolted right in. We didn't have to auger out any of the holes, or, you know, use a bit to hone it out or anything like that. We just had to kind of jiggle it around, and it all fit. And the front's really square. The back is really, really close. I could probably loosen them all, knock it over just a touch. but I don't want to do that yet. What I want to do is set the body on, so when I see where it lines up, if these holes back here line perfectly up, we won't move that at all. But if they're a touch off one way, then we know we can loosen that, knock it over, tighten it back down, and then check it again. And then once these back ones go, we know the front is where we want it to be. It's perfectly centered. So, you know, once you get to the front, to some degree, your fenders and rad support, there's going to be a little bit of play there. But yeah, I got to say, nothing wrong with using a floor like this. And the nice thing with this, if you got a clean frame, when you put this up on a hoist, you're going to have basically the body of the car is going to be brand new. Now, we do got to repair in here, not on here, but on the car. Most of this is okay, but we're going to have to put some, you know, so we're going to mark that when we're under there too, and we get the floor on just to see what we need. We'll make a few templates. There's probably about 3/4 of a day to a day of fab work on the car. So we got to fix those. We also got to fix the toe boards. The transmission tunnel's perfect. We could weld that in, weld those 2 corners, and then weld most of this back here. But what we do have to fix on the car, the outside comes down, leans against this. This all has to be welded together. So we're going to have to repair that. But just before we do that, we'll set the body on just to see how she's going to line up. I think it's going to be probably good. So far, I'll give the Dynacorn floor for these Tri-5 Chevys, you know, 2 thumbs up. The main thing that I like, not only are the inner rockers already welded to the floor, they seem to be welded really well. All the bracing is under it and all that stuff. Now, that said, there's a couple things we got to move. So we're going to have to pull this little bracket off and weld it to the back of the floor. And because of how it's setting, it'll be easy. Because of how it's sitting, bah, long day. And we're going to cut these towers off and sandblast them. This one needs a little bit of repair. I think the other one's okay. Those are wagon only. So we're going to have to make a template off this edge so that we know where they go. And then we can drill holes, clean those up, paint them, spot weld them to the top of the floor. But all the other structure, this stuff that runs underneath, is already under the floor, which is great. We do got to take this off. That's for the emergency brake or parking brake. So we got to take those brackets off. I think the holes are in the floor. But I won't throw that away until we bolt that stuff on and line it up. I don't know if the owner's going to use this or not, but he might. So we definitely want to remove it, keep it, and make sure we have maybe that little chunk of floor. We'll just cut it out and keep it. So that's all together and we know where it goes. At any rate, that's where we're at. You know, every day, make a little bit more progress. Looks like we got a giant skateboard in here, or one of those Revel model kits when you pull the floor out of the box and throw the tires on. This is pretty much where you are before you build one of them plastic models, so it's kind of neat. But yeah, it's going to be good. This is going to be a wicked solid car. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers.